Hello everyone, how y'all doing? So, I have a confession to make. I fucking lied. Remember when I uploaded a video like 2 days ago? It's probably been 2 or 3 days, I don't know, where I said I wasn't sure if I was going to buy the Steam version. I would probably wait until it goes on sale. I lied. I really did. To be fair, I truly did believe that. But when the game actually came out, I don't know, man. I just couldn't resist the urge to see how the PC port was. I really couldn't resist the urge. Now I'm just gonna tell you right now. So far, which as you can see here, I only played the game for like 2.8 hours. That's not a lot. That's definitely nowhere near enough for me to give you a full blown review as far as like my overall experience. I mean, we are talking about four. Well, we'll get into that. I'm highly contesting the term quartet. Let's just say that. But here's what I'm gonna say as far as like first impressions is that overall I do feel very underwhelmed by this release. To be honest with you, Blue Reflection Quartet is not really compelling me a whole heck of a lot. I think that there's a lot of areas where I'm honestly pretty disappointed. But there is one thing I do want to make clear, and I'm gonna do that. Actually, wait, before I do that, I guess there's a couple of things I do want to note. Firstly, I am running this using native Wayland. So far as my experience, I have not noticed any bugs. The only thing I've noticed is that when I launched this game in full screen, I believe, it did seem like when I tab out, like when I click like the start button here to like open this little menu, and I usually do that if I'm trying to like highlight or click another window. The game did seem to bug out a little bit, and I had to basically restart the game. But when I played the game in borderless, that wasn't really an issue. So weirdness, I suppose. But another thing is that I'm using my DualSense controller, and it does seem like this is supported. And actually, one other thing I did notice is that sometimes when I play games using native Wayland, I do have to use a specific command for like SDL where I have to like enable something like that. And I it doesn't seem like I really need to do that for this game. It just seems like if I just enable my controller, it'll just work just fine. So that's a good thing. And I am also running this using Proton Catchy OS, the latest version. And so far, I have not really encountered any issues that I would typically expect from running this using the native Wayland driver. The only thing that kind of, something that I definitely did wish I could test was whether or not HDR worked. But like, I've checked the menu in this game. It doesn't really seem like this game has HDR at all. I don't think that exists. Maybe I'll put the environmental variable and maybe like you'll see like a hidden menu for like HDR, but like I at least so far in the settings that I saw in the game, it just doesn't seem like HDR exists, which is kind of a shame because this is meant to be a PS5 game, and like one of the things that the PS5 kind of advertised was the fact that you could play games with HDR. You could also, I think you could also do that with a PS4 Pro, but that was kind of like one of the highlights for me for like the PS5. It was like, hey, we have HDR, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. But anyway, this is how the game is at the start. So I'm gonna start off with what I consider to be by far the most disappointing thing about this game, and that is Blue Reflection Ray. Now, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. Blue Reflection Ray, this is not a game. It's really not. It's basically a walking simulator, and it's not even a good one. And one other thing I've also noticed, and I'll elaborate more when I talk about Blue Reflection Sun, but in I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear the music there because I probably reduced the volume just a little bit in order for my my recording to be, it's possible to hear, but like I'll temporarily increase just a little bit, and you'll hear the title screen song for Blue Reflection Second Light. And so that's one thing you'll definitely notice as you play this game. It's definitely like this release in general, it's very acid flippy. And for this one in specific, they're just playing the title screen, the main menu theme for Blue Reflection Second Light. Overall, the UI, it's very similar. Like when I launched the game, you saw like a lot of the design of the game. It's like, this is definitely not a game that's like meant to, Like, this is definitely not like something built from scratch. It's very asset flippy. And something I did find to be kind of interesting is that when you go to graphic settings, it will actually show, like, amongst these settings, which games it applies to. So for example, one of them, let me actually go down. Oh wait, I mean graphic settings. Let me go to game settings. That one's a bit more important, which is Dash. So Dash is available in Ray, Sun, and On, because these three games, they do have the same engine. But Blue Reflection, the first game, it doesn't have. So you can't actually dash there, which is weird. The other thing is, it's the difficulty, which is non-existent in Blue Reflection Ray, and that's because it's not really a game. It's just not. This isn't a game. It's just a walking simulator. Like, let me show you the experience of playing this game. So I'm gonna put autosave, I guess. Your experience is just doing this. This is the full extent of the experience of playing this game. It's just you walking around. There are no demons for you to fight. There's not even really a story. You're just kind of collecting fragments throughout the experience, and every time you do that, you'll unlock like a still frame for like the anime. And that's the other thing, is that I know the overall consensus on the Blue Reflection Ray anime is definitely negative, at least from what I've heard. But like, the thing is, personally speaking, I enjoyed my time watching Blue Reflection Ray. And to be completely honest with you, when I played this, I was just like, is there really any reason for me to play this over, you know, watching the anime? Like, because this is the extent. And the other thing is, it's like, it's not like you're exploring new areas that you've never seen before. This is just the common. This is just all of the stages of the common with all of the different emotions. You're not even really exploring anything new. So, I don't know. This, to me, I didn't really see much of a point. It just... And it's also not a very long experience. I don't know if it's gonna show here, but like, if I go to load... let's see if it actually shows how much time I played. Okay, actually, wait. No. I will say one thing, though. This is not very representative of your actual time playing this, because I did skip all of the sequences, because I was just like, dude... I don't fucking get the point. Why am I watching like abridged short retellings of like scenes from the anime? Like, I was just kind of skipping a lot of the cutscenes just because I was hoping that there would be some gameplay, but there really is. This is not a game. Calling this Blue Reflection Quartet feels kind of misleading. This is not a game. It's really not. Now, these two characters are playable, I think. I think. Let me actually check. Oh wait, never mind. I can't even check the stats for the characters because there's no party. It doesn't have a party because it's not a game. This isn't a real game. I just wanted to see if I could see the stats here just to see what powers they have, but I can't even see that. But yeah, anyway. I really don't think this is worthwhile. Like, I guess if you want to remember what happened in the anime, go ahead and watch this, but like, I genuinely don't see a reason to just not watch the anime if I want to re-experience the story of, you know, of Blue Blue Reflection Ray. Now, one other thing I did also want to check regarding settings. So remember in my previous video where I said I had a suspicion that this game would probably have both VSync and a frame limiter, and it turns out I was right. These two settings are here. And I know it sounds fucking stupid to say it, but these settings really didn't exist back then. It really didn't. Like, you really couldn't disable VSync, you really couldn't cap the frame rate to something else. These two settings just didn't exist. Now everything else here, I think texture filtering was not, I don't think I could pick between these. And I also don't think blending between object meshes was also a setting here, but everything else does seem to be largely the same settings that existed in Blue Reflection Second Light. So there's not really a ton of difference here. Oh, and one other thing. Remember when I said earlier, hey, I hope they give us more resolution options? Nope. Fortunately, no. It's still the same problem I complained earlier. You have all of these resolutions before 1080p, which is fine, all Gucci, all good. But then, actually, I don't even see the resolution for the Steam Deck. That kind of worries me. But I don't know. Maybe it's a resolution exclusive to that. Maybe it's just, I don't even know. Maybe I'm only seeing the resolutions based on the aspect ratio of my monitor. I really hope that's the case. In fact, I think that's actually what's happening here. But anyway, you go to 1080p and then you go 1440p and then 4K. So there all the resolutions that exist between 1440p and 4K, not here. Kind of a shame. That was an option even in the first Blue Reflection game, so it's kind of weird that you don't have it here, but whatever, I guess. No, do not save the settings. The other thing is, and I did briefly mention this, which is in the game settings, is the fact that actually it's best if I show you if I actually open specifically the first game, because I will say that the first game is one that I am very interested in revisiting, because it definitely does seem like there are some quality of life improvements, but there are also a couple of things I want to complain. And I'm going to start with the complaint, because I'm going to be completely honest with you. The thing that I'm about to complain right now is something that it's kind of making me a little bit mad. So I'm going to open the menu here. And the thing is, I'll say this. For all of you watching this video, on YouTube especially, you are not going to understand my complaint through what I'm showing on screen. But essentially, this game, the menu elements, which includes, this little square right here, this here, this photo of Hinako, even the text, the resolution does not scale accordingly to it, or more so, it's not rendered at a higher resolution. Now, if I go to settings, and I'm playing this at 1440p, I do actually notice that the colors, like the color blue, the little boxes and the text, it does look a little bit aliasy, more or less, but I can still notice it is rendering at 1440p. I do notice it looks sharper. But for example, the text there that says settings, the background, and even like the little the part there where it says select, change default, and back, it does not look like it's being rendered at a higher resolutions. It really does feel like it's all being rendered at 1080p. And the reason why I know this especially is because if I actually change the resolution to 1080p, and again, you guys are probably not going to notice the difference, but if I do it, I just don't feel like it doesn't look that much different. Like, let me switch back. Like here, I'm noticing the difference, and I'm going to change the resolution. But then when I go back here, it's like, I mean, it might look slightly sharper, maybe. Maybe there might be some tiny elements, but like in general, this is a huge contrast to the experience that I get playing this game on the PS5 and the original game nonetheless, because I think the original game uses checkerboard scaling, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it does. And the menu elements, the UI elements, they do actually scale accordingly. It does look sharper. It does legitimately look sharper. It does look, I don't think it's native 4K, but it does actually look sharper. But here, it just doesn't. And honestly, I'm very curious to see what the build of the PS5 version is, because I swear to God, if the menu looks blurrier on the PS5 build than the PS4 build, that is gonna be very embarrassing. Now, the gaming question, like everything else here, it does look 1440p, like the character assets, the models and everything. I am seeing a little bit of aliasing, but that was a problem with the first game. That's the other thing. So this game, it does have anti-aliasing enabled, but the game's anti-aliasing quality is pretty skeptical. Let's just say that. And honestly, I've kind of gotten to the point where I just stopped caring. But it is the case. Now, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go to the rooftop. So let me actually do. Let me actually go to. Let me actually. Oh, if I click the arrow down Hinako is actually gonna run a little bit faster. And actually, that's the thing I actually wanted to show, is that this game does not have a sprint mechanic. It just doesn't, unfortunately. I just don't think it was something that was built. Like, I don't think, I guess it's just one of those things where they weren't able to integrate before this game came out. The game wasn't designed initially to have a sprint button. But at the very least, they do have, oh, and also, there's if you click R1, it'll actually accelerate the game a little bit. So if you're speed running, you can do this. Of course, you can also just press the select button to actually skip the event. That's also something you can do. And again, you couldn't do that in the first game. And at first I was like, could I actually do that? And I made sure to check I booted up the game on my PS5. I really couldn't skip the events. I really couldn't. That kind of surprised me. But yeah, I couldn't do that before. Although it doesn't seem like I can skip some of the. That's the other thing. A lot of pre-rendered cutscenes seem to be unskippable. Like I'm clicking literally every single fucking button that exists. It's not skipping, and I'm saying this because the opening did not skip as well, which was very odd. Very odd that I can't skip something as basic as that. I'm not entirely sure why that's the case, but I mean, whatever. I guess it is what it is. I do have to watch the transformation sequences. It is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. I mean, it's not that long, to be fair. Well, I mean, it's a little long. If you use the button to basically speedrun, this would feel very long. But I don't know. Maybe there might be a setting to actually skip the transformations. I just didn't. I didn't enable it, but it probably exists. It probably exists. I just didn't check. And I just noticed the mouse cursor is right here. That's kind of embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, this game, as far as like the gameplay, nothing really changed. It's the same as always. Don't expect anything different about this game. It's exactly what it is. It is one thing I do want to. It is definitely something I want to emphasize, is that this is really not meant to be like an overhaul of those games. They are essentially just porting this to newer. I mean, they're not really porting this to PC because it was already available on PC. But it's just meant to bundle all those games the way they were, at least the first and second game. When it comes to Blue Reflection Sun, it's a bit of a different story, but I'll get to that in a moment. I do hope I'm able to explore common in just a little bit. Alright. I'm gonna skip this, not really relevant. And if I click R1, it'll actually fast forward everything. So very, very, very useful. If you're someone who doesn't want to waste time reading all of this tutorial stuff, you can just click R1. It'll just skip all that stuff. That's also something very useful. But yeah, this game, as you can see, no sprinting. But if I click down, it'll run slightly faster. Now, it's not noticeable at first glance, but she is definitely running a little bit faster if I click down. It's kind of awkward though, because like at first glance, I mean, if I zoom in a little bit, it probably will become a little bit more noticeable. But like okay, like for example, let's start from here. So now she's running normally, and now speed running, normally, speed running, normally, speed running. She is running a little bit faster, but it's not that much faster. Honestly, I think you'll notice a bigger difference when the game actually has a sprint mechanic. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's exit this. I mean, I hope I can exit. I can exit, right? Wait. Maybe if I click. Okay, yeah, I can click to menu. I was a little bit concerned that I wasn't gonna see the option to actually quit the game, because I don't think the original game actually let you go to start menu when you were exploring, or at least as far as I can tell. But yeah, let's go to settings and let's see. Okay, it's not here. Game settings. Once per once per battle. Do not play. Okay, so you do have the option to disable it. That's okay. That's fine. Okay, now let's go to the third game that I want to talk about. Now this one, man, this is just Blue Reflection Second Light's engine, dude. It's they're really not even trying even a little bit to just change anything. Now, here's the first point that I do want to express quite a bit of disappointment. So this game, much like Blue Reflection Ray, it's just playing the main menu for Blue Reflection Second Light. And this screen right here, it's a still image. So there's no animation. And this is really weird because let me show you guys something. Or maybe I won't. Hang on. Let me just mute here. And let's type Blue Reflection Sun main menu. No, not that. Come on. Also, I guess for you guys to see what I'm showing on screen, hang on. I just need a sequence. Hang on. I think I remember when this game initially got leaked, and when it got leaked, I think some people shared like screenshots or something like that. Let's see if this one has. Nope, never mind. It does not have. Nope, it does not have. Come on, I just need to see one sequence of the main menu. That's all I want. Sorry, Mr. YouTuber. I just want one scene. And I don't even think it's gonna show it. Okay, let's type gameplay. Alright, Mr. YouTuber. I would like to ask you to share your screen. And okay. Never mind. He's not gonna show. What about title screen? Still nothing, still nothing. Title loop, maybe this one will show. Okay, there it is. There it is. This is exactly what I wanted. So I'm gonna... Oh, okay. Let me unmute the tab. So this right here is it's the title screen sequence, the animation that plays when you used to play Blue Reflection Sun, the mobile version. So as you can see here, you know, unique sequences. I mean, they're all just based on cutscenes that exist in the game, but you know, there's a huge contrast between this and this. I think we can all agree with that. And it's really weird because, like, I don't understand, like, not that this is like pinnacle title screen, but it's like, couldn't you have at least done this instead? And also play the same music? Because, like, when I see this, it just feels very asset flippy. That's the problem, is that it just feels very half-assed and asset flipped. It doesn't really feel like I'm playing a new experience. And the other thing is, let me actually load the game. And again, a lot of the UI elements are just from Second Light. And you'll notice that the school... Now, I will say this. This is not really something I'm going to complain too hard about. But actually, wait. Look at outside. I've never seen this part of the map, actually. But yeah, if you see... Like, you can probably tell that this looks... I mean, this is pretty much the school from Second Light. It's exactly the same. Now, I can't go outside because that's the other thing about this game. Again, I'll get to that in a minute. But like, yeah, like, see here, this is the kitchen where you can craft things. This is the locker. This is where you can go upstairs. And if I go right there, this is where I would usually go outside. Actually, this part of the map doesn't seem like it's changed from Second Light. So it does seem like there's a bit of a wall there. Ah, it might be a different house actually. And like, yeah, here are all the trophies. And again, if I try to go outside, it'll just say I have no business here. Now I can go upstairs. I think student dormitory. Okay, there's at least there's the student dormitory. That's something at least. I can explore this lobby. Kind of reminds me of the hospital from Yuki's house Heartscape. Kind of reminds me a little bit, but it's not exactly the same. I'll give them credit on that. But yeah, it's just it's the same school. It's basically the same school. And I will say though that this game, there's some aspects of this game that actually does kind of make it a bit of a fresh experience. So the first thing is that if I go here, so if I go to the second hall, so normally in second light, usually this icon here essentially meant that you were going to unlock a cutscene, and it's the same here. But the difference here is that a lot of the cutscenes that play here are actually just they're just kind of like interactions between other characters. So in Second Light, a lot of the times the cutscenes that you would unlock were essentially between Owl and a lot of the other characters, and them kind of like improving their relationship. Sometimes you would also get like some like multiple choice where you, events where like multiple characters are talking at the same time, but like here it's actually more of a case of like characters talking to each other individually. Like you can actually see how each character differs in the relationship that they have with other people, and that is actually something that I found it to be pretty cool. Actually, I did. It does actually kind of allow some of the relationships to feel a bit more expanded, because that was something that we didn't see a ton in Second Light. Like you had characters that were all from like taken from their own lives, and even though we did see a little bit of them kind of like learning how to live together, it wasn't, I don't think it's on the same level as here. Like I think in this game we are actually seeing characters just growing with each other. Like they are genuinely having like their own conflicts, their own like personality clashes, and they're learning a lot about each other as they keep talking. It's cool. It's not just a MC centric thing. It's funny because like one of the things that people complained about this game was the fact that it had a male MC, but he's actually pretty irrelevant in general. He doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot. If anything, I find Shiho to be more of a protagonist than this MC, if I'm being completely honest with you. So that is actually something that I found to be pretty cool. Honestly, I think the story of this game might legitimately be the thing that might kind of save, because if not for that, there's a couple of other things, like obviously just being able to play with characters that I haven't done. Because like, look, I've played Blue Reflection Second Light like 3 times, so being able to play with new characters feels very refreshing. Like it feels very refreshing seeing different transformations, seeing different stands, seeing different skills. Like they actually have like different attack types. I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can't add fragments, because one thing about this game, and it is unfortunate, which is the fact that over time I slowly began to realize that this is not really an explorative JRPG game. If anything, a lot of the times it's just you playing several cutscenes after cutscenes, and to be fair, for the most part, they are, pretty reasonably animated cutscenes, at least for Blue Reflection standards. There are some cutscenes that feel very mobile game-esque, but that's fine. This is a port of a mobile game. It's not bad on that department. It's fine. A lot of the cutscenes are, I'm pretty sure, all of them are voice acted, so, and they do actually feel like relatively fully fledged, well-paced cutscenes. I'm not complaining about that. This is much different from Blue Reflection Ray, where it just kind of felt like an abridged retelling of the anime. This one does feel more fleshed out, so I'm not complaining on that department. But one thing I will definitely complain is the fact that this game, you don't really explore any areas. You don't fight against smaller scale demons. It's really just a case of every time you advance the story, you'll eventually fight what they consider queens, and it's basically just boss battles, and they're not even really hard, at least so far. To be fair, I've only done 2, but they were freaking easy as hell, dude. They were really not difficult. And the other thing is, this game, you know, I can select hard mode in Blue Reflection. I cannot select hard mode in Sun and Second Light. Now with Second Light, I know why. It's because you only unlock hard and what's the other one? Death Wish. You'll only have access to those difficulties in New Game Plus. Sun, maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. But like Sun so far has been extremely easy. This has been an extremely easy experience. And generally speaking, it does have the same combat as Second Light. It's not like this is a different combat system. It's the same. It's pretty much the same. Like the way Ether moves, like the way, you know, it's kind of like a real-time turn-based system where characters, you know, they'll have like the little timeline where once they accumulate 1,000 Ether, you'll be able to use attacks. Something like that. It's the same. Like it's nothing different. It's the exact same as Second Light. But there is one thing that I did find to be pretty cool. So I want you to pay attention to the description here. So it says here, deals water magic damage to a single enemy. Deals wind magic damage to a single enemy. So far so good. Now let's look at the third option. Deals a great amount of magic damage to all enemies. Now this, my friend, is very, very, very compelling. And she's not the only character. Here, deals wind damage to all enemies. Very cool. Deals great amount of magic damage to all enemies. Very cool. You know why this is cool? It's because Blue Reflection Second Light, and I did end up revisiting that game, does not have multi-target attacks. Now it does have multi-target healing abilities and stuff like that, but multi-targeted attacks, it just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist for some reason. Every single attack, it's single enemy target. Every single character, like, it's so weird. Like, it's such a weird thing, and sometimes it can make the game feel a little bit tedious to grind, to be honest with you. So these characters have them, and it has been confirmed with like some gameplay footage is that I think it's after you complete this game, if I'm not mistaken, if you play Second Light, you do actually have access to every single one of these characters, all of them. Now Shiho, I think she's still, deals a great amount of magic damage to all enemies. Special skill Ether Tide combo count resets after use. Now this is very interesting, because Tumu Jikeri, was this a skill that she used to have? Because in my memory, Shiho had Yaguruma. She then had another skill that dealt magic damage. It had a different logo from this one. That one was single target. And then most of her other abilities were healings. I think this is new. I've never seen this. At least I don't remember seeing it. I don't know. I'll have to check for it. Maybe I might have to boot up the original game, because I genuinely do not fucking remember seeing this. I could be wrong. I genuinely could be wrong. But I don't remember seeing... Or to be fair, this might be an ability that she only has when she's transformed. And since you don't always get transformed when you play those games, and I think there's like different levels where it's like as you increase the level. Like for example here, okay, like as you can see here, level 1, level 2, level 3. This is the one I was referring to. Deals magic damage to a single enemy. It's Tsuganaima. This one, and then there's Yugurama level. So this is when it's level 3. Tsujikere. I really don't remember seeing this skill. I don't think it existed. But I will say one thing though. If this skill exists in Blue Reflection Second Light, that is going to be so fucking poggers, because I already use Shiho in my build because she's a healer, and I definitely need healers when I play Second Light. If she has the skill, god fucking damn it, I'm gonna be very happy. Because I do intend on using the other characters here, especially when they have multi-target attacks, because I... given how much of an asset flip this release is, I kind of doubt that the characters from Second Light are going to have multi-target attacks, at least the ones that exist. But I do know that at least these characters will, and I have a suspicion that Yuzu and Lime will probably also have multi-target attacks because they do have in the original game, so they're probably going to port them with the same skills. So I do intend on using them, and also I just kind of want to like offer some variety in the party just to kind of make things a bit more interesting. But Shiho will always be a character that I feel like she's gonna be a very integral character for me to keep on my party, because again, she is a healer and she does have some pretty good healing abilities, and not just in terms of health but also in terms of ether, like, and also she can cure status elements. So she's very useful. She's an extremely useful character. I very rarely removed her from my party, and if she has a multi-targeted attack, which again because the other thing about this game is that since you're fighting against queens and it's just one character, it's just one enemy, you don't even have the opportunity to actually test these multi-targeted attacks. And so I'm reading this and I'm interpreting this for what it is, but I don't even know if it's actually what it is. I mean, I kind of doubt it's not what I think it is, but I just don't have a place to test it. It's so weird. But yeah, and that's honestly the thing about Blue Reflection Sun that's probably the most disappointing, which is the fact that at least so far I have not seen any exploration. I don't know if it's just because I haven't unlocked it yet, but like, I'm kind of scared. Like, I have been playing this for like at least 2 hours, and so far I just haven't seen any explorations. So far it's just been a bunch of like character events similar to like mobile games where it's like characters will talk to each other, and then, you know, once you advance it up until a certain point, you'll then fight against a queen, but that's about it. I don't think there's the same level of exploration that exists in traditional JRPGs, and I'm kind of worried about that, because if that's the case, then it's like, I mean, I'll still play this because I'm interested in the story. I think the story seems overall pretty cool, but I don't know. It's a little bit disappointing. This was not what I was expecting, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I don't know. So far, like, here's the thing. Here's my overall opinions. Like, you know, I'm saying all of this, all of these complaints that I have, and why is it not? Okay, there it is. Let me just quit this game, because there is still something that I do want to emphasize, which is the fact that I'm complaining about. Oh, one other thing. Some people have mentioned the fact that this game does seem to have more censorship, and I don't disbelieve that. It's just that, okay, how do I put this? I sympathize with people that are concerned about the fact that this game does have more censorship. I sympathize with them because I'm also not someone who particularly likes when games get censored. I think that, you know, if a certain author wanted to include certain content, I think it should allow it to exist unless it's something illegal. But I will say that the content that people are mentioning is censored is largely fan service. And, you know, I do respect the ability for developers and animators and everything like that. I do respect their ability to include fan service in the content that they're making. But it's not the type of thing that I'm going to die on a hill defending, is what I'm trying to say. Is that it's not that I'm not in... It's not that I don't support people that are not satisfied with the fact that they seem to tone down the fan service. It's just that it's really not at the top of... It's really not at the top of like my priorities, is what I'm going to say. Is that if the only issue that I had to deal with these games was the fact that it had more censorship, that alone would not be enough to ruin my experience, is what I'm trying to say. But something that kind of so far is somewhat ruining my experience is that it just doesn't really seem like the two games that I was interested in seeing how they would be adapted seem to be the most underwhelming ones. So far, the only games, like, honestly, I'm more excited about revisiting the first game and Second Light with the new quality of life improvements. But, like, Blue Reflection Ray was just a waste of time. I didn't get anything out of it. And Blue Reflection Sun, I think I might be able to get something out of the story, but as far as like gameplay, it's like the queens are stupidly easy. There's no exploration, so I don't think I'm gonna gain much out of it. So yeah, I don't know. So far, that's been a little bit disappointing. But with that said, I do still want to emphasize the fact that I do still think that this is something that's worth considering buying, because you do have to remember the fact that oh, I forgot it's called store. Why do they all name it like that? Hang on. What is store? Oh, okay, I remember. That's just the news that I bookmarked somewhere because I wanted to fact check something that I was seeing on Instagram. But anyway, let's type blue reflection. See, this is the reality, which is the fact that, what do you mean? Oh, sorry, typo. So yeah, this is the reality, which is the fact that this is still a more compelling buy compared to these two games, because it costs less than each individual game, and it also costs less than both these games combined. So you have to pick between spending 49 over spending $120. And personally speaking, I still think that this one is more compelling, even though I definitely do not consider this to be a very good release. I think, generally speaking, I've been pretty underwhelmed. I don't know if actually, out of curiosity, I do wonder if there's any DLC, because this game does have like an early purchase bonus, but like it's just like a frame or something like that. So I have to assume that the DLC content that was actually, that's a very good question. That's actually a very good question, because Blue Reflection Second Light does have quite a few DLC content, including summer outfits and swimsuits and cat ears and an entire additional map. Is that all included here? Because that's not made entirely clear. And I mean, maybe I'll play it a little bit more just to see if it's available, but I don't know. It would be really weird if it wasn't available there. Very, very odd if it wasn't. But I guess when you consider the fact that they do seem to be toning down the fan service, maybe they will remove the swimsuit outfits. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I do still find, and also like the season pass content, you do have to buy it separately. And so yeah, I still think if you are someone who's interested in getting into the Blue Reflection franchise, I think that Quartet makes sense for the most part. But still, I do feel like, for a franchise that was kind of dormant for the past couple of years, I think they could have done more for Blue Reflection Ray and Sun, especially Sun, because the Ray, fine, whatever. It's based on an anime. Like I'm sure they would probably face some limitations trying to adapt anime material into video game. I will say though, it's like if they really couldn't do like a fully fleshed out like DBZ Kakarot style adaptation of the anime, it kind of makes you wonder what is even the point of like including this in the release. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to not include it. But as for Blue Reflection Sun, I truly do wish they'd done more. I really do. Because so far, it just kind of feels like it's a very, very minimal, very low effort port of the mobile game. And, it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame. But anyway, I will continue playing Blue Reflection Sun because I did always wanted to experience the story, and seeing Kirara and Shiho in their own environments that they came from, with their personalities seemingly reflecting their actual their the status that they have, like seeing them sort of like having their own insecurities and stuff like that. I still think a lot of that is very worthwhile, so I will continue playing this. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll decide to revisit both the first and second game. I don't know if I'm gonna do it now, because I literally just got done playing Second Light like a few months ago, and I was playing that with Death Wish, so I was grinding the absolute living hell out of it. So I'm a little bit burned out of that game. I don't know if I'm gonna play it anytime soon, but at least Sun, I will, because it has 2 characters. But yeah, anyway, so far those are my first impressions. I'm a little bit disappointed, but who knows? Maybe my impression will improve over time. So anyway, that's all.